I am 76 years old, and I am about to tell you something that might shake you. 7 years ago, at the age of 69, I walked away from my wife after 45 years of marriage, and it was the most terrifying and liberating thing I have ever done in my life. I can already hear what you are thinking. 69 years old? Brother must have lost his mind. Why would anyone leave after nearly half a century? He must be going through something, must be chasing some foolish dream, must be running from responsibility. Maybe that is how it looks from where you are sitting. But from where I was standing, I was finally finding myself again. And if you are sitting there right now in a marriage that feels more like a prison than a partnership, telling yourself you are too old or that you have come too far to turn back now, I need you to listen to what I am about to say, because I spent decades trapped by those same thoughts. But before I tell you about the day I left, let me tell you about all the days I stayed, because that is the story nobody wants to hear. Everybody wants to know what finally pushed you out the door. Nobody asks about the weight that kept you inside all those years. I got married in 1976. I was 24 years old. We were living in Detroit, Michigan, and I thought I was building something solid. Her name was Patricia. She was beautiful, educated, came from a good family. My mother loved her. My father said I was making a smart choice. The church celebrated us. I wore my best suit and believed we were forever. The trouble did not come crashing in. It came creeping. There was no cheating, no shouting matches, nothing you could point to and call clearly wrong. But there was something missing that I did not even have words for back then. Respect. Not the kind you give someone because you are supposed to. The kind that comes from truly valuing who they are. Patricia had ideas about what a husband should be, and I spent 45 years trying to fit that shape. A black man in America already carries expectations everywhere he goes. At work, I had to be twice as good to get half as far. In public, I had to watch my tone, my body language, my every move. I accepted that. That was survival. But I never expected to feel that same weight in my own home. Every decision had to meet her approval. How I dressed, where I went, who I spent time with, how I spent my money that I earned. When I wanted to take a weekend to go fishing with my brother, she made it clear that was selfish. When I suggested we visit my family down south for the holidays, instead of always going to hers, she reminded me whose family had the bigger house, the better food, the more respectable gathering. I remember about 8 years into the marriage, I told her I wanted to start a small business. I had been working at the Ford plant for years, and I had an idea for a barbershop, not just a place to get a cut, but a real community space. Somewhere black men could talk freely, be themselves, feel seen. I had been saving money quietly, doing the math, dreaming. She shut it down immediately. We have stability, she said. You have benefits, a pension coming. Why would you risk that? She made me feel foolish for wanting more. Made me feel like dreaming was dangerous. So I put the idea away, kept working the line, kept my head down, and every year that dream got smaller until I could not see it anymore. She was not cruel. I want to be clear about that. She did not raise her voice or put her hands on me. But there are other ways to make someone disappear. Little comments about my opinions, sighing when I spoke, talking over me at family gatherings, correcting me in front of our children. It was death by 1,000 small moments of not mattering. Then we had kids, 2 sons, and suddenly staying felt like duty. I am doing this for them, I told myself. They need their father in the house. I knew too many black boys growing up without fathers, and I was determined not to be another statistic. So I stayed. I worked, I provided, I showed up to every game, every recital, every parent-teacher conference. But I was only half there. The other half of me was somewhere far away, trying to remember what it felt like to be whole, Patricia and I became actors in our own life. We went to church every Sunday, sat in the same pew, held hands during prayer. We hosted Thanksgiving and Christmas. From the outside, we looked like the model couple, strong, stable, still together after all these years. But inside that house, we were strangers. We could go days barely speaking beyond logistics. Did you pay the gas bill? What time is your appointment? Your mother called. That was our marriage. We shared a bed but slept on opposite edges. We shared a life but lived separately within it. I remember our 30th anniversary. Our sons threw us a party. People gave speeches about lasting love and commitment, about how rare it is to see a black couple stay together that long, to build something that lasts. I smiled. I hugged my wife. I thanked everyone. And when we got home that night, I sat on the back porch alone and wept because I realized I had spent 3 decades performing a marriage instead of living one. The years kept moving. The boys grew up, went to college, started families of their own, and my reason for staying walked out the door with them. But by then, I had convinced myself it was too late. I was 60, then 63, then 67. We had built a life together. We had grandchildren who called us together. We had friends who knew us as a unit. How do you unravel nearly 50 years? How do you tell your grown sons that the foundation they stood on was shaking the whole time? And practically speaking, how does a black man approaching 70 start over? We had built equity together, retirement accounts with both our names. She had sacrificed too, staying home with the boys when they were young. I could not just walk away, could I? So I stayed year after year, telling myself it was too late, too complicated, too selfish, until the morning I could not get out of bed. I was 68. It started as fatigue, then chest pains, then the doctor visit I had been putting off. The diagnosis came back clear and devastating at the same time. Not a heart attack, severe depression, anxiety. My body was shutting down from the weight of a life I could no longer carry. The doctor, a young black woman, looked at me with eyes that somehow saw everything. "Mr. Johnson," she said, "you are not dying, but you are not living either, and your body knows the difference." She prescribed medication, suggested therapy, but what she really gave me was permission to tell the truth. I was not sick, I was suffocating. I started seeing a therapist, a brother about 10 years younger than me. First few sessions, I could barely speak. Decades of holding everything in had sealed my throat shut. I sat in that office looking at the floor, my hands folded in my lap like a schoolboy. What does a man my age even say? Where do you start when the story goes back almost 50 years? But slowly, I started talking about the marriage, about feeling invisible in my own home, about dreams I had buried so deep I had almost forgotten they existed, about the man I used to be before I became what everyone needed me to be, the man who laughed easily, who danced, who believed he could do anything. We talked about my father too, how he had stayed in his own unhappy marriage until the day he died, how I watched him shrink year after year, how I swore I would never become him, and then I spent decades becoming exactly him. He asked me a question that changed everything. If you found out you had 1 year left to live, would you spend it the way you are spending it now? The answer came immediately. No, absolutely not. Then why are you spending it that way now? He asked. You do not have a guarantee of tomorrow. None of us do. So why are you living like your real life is waiting somewhere in the future? I had no answer, because there was no good answer. And that is when I knew. At 69 years old, sitting in a therapy office on a Tuesday afternoon, I made a decision. I did not know how long I had left, maybe 10 years, maybe 20 if I was blessed. But I refused to spend whatever time remained disappearing a little more each day. 3 months later, I told Patricia I wanted a divorce. She did not cry. She did not yell. She stared at me like I had spoken a foreign language. After 45 years, she said, after everything we built. We did not build anything, I said quietly. We stayed. There is a difference. The divorce took over a year. It was painful, expensive, complicated. Some family members stopped speaking to me, called me selfish, called me foolish. My older son did not understand. You are throwing away the family, he said. What about us? What about the grandkids? As if my staying in misery somehow protected them. But my younger son, he surprised me. He called me one night and I could hear something different in his voice. Dad, he said, I have never heard you sound this alive, and it made me realize I have never really known you. I have only known the version of you that existed for everyone else. That conversation changed our relationship. We started talking more deeply. Not just about football and work, but about life, about fear, about what it means to be a black man trying to live honestly in a world that does not always make space for that. Telling my sons about my unhappiness was harder than the divorce itself. They were in their 40s by then. They had families, and they were shocked. But you and Mom always seemed solid, one of them said. That nearly broke me, because I realized I had been such a good actor that even my own children believed the performance was real. Some friends from church pulled away. At our age, divorce is still scandalous in some circles. People whispered, people judged. But I also found unexpected support, other men my age who pulled me aside and said quietly, I understand. Men who looked at me with something like envy. Men who were still living the life I had just walked away from. At 70, I moved into my own place, a small 2-bedroom apartment on the east side. First time in my entire life I had lived alone. I was scared. Some nights I woke up wondering if I had made the biggest mistake of my life. Some days the silence felt too heavy. I had to learn how to cook for one, how to make decisions without asking permission, how to sit with my own thoughts without distraction. But I did not fall apart. Slowly I started finding myself again. The man who loved jazz, who liked to write poetry, who had opinions and dreams and desires that mattered. I joined a community center, started playing chess again, something I had given up when Patricia said it was a waste of time. Started going to poetry readings on Friday nights at a bookstore downtown. I made new friends, not couples we knew from church or work, real friends. People who knew me as Jack, not as Patricia's husband or the boy's father, just me. Even started that business I had dreamed about decades earlier. Not the big barbershop I had imagined at 30, but a small shop, just 4 chairs, in a neighborhood that needed it. A place where men could come and talk freely, where grandfathers brought their grandsons, where we debated sports and politics and life, where everyone knew my name and my story and nobody judged me for it. That shop became my sanctuary, proof that it was not too late to build something of my own. I am 76 now. My life is not what anyone would call impressive. My apartment is modest, my income is small. Some days I am lonely, but I am free. And that freedom, that permission to be myself is worth everything I gave up to find it. Here is what I know now that I wish I had known then. The regret is not in leaving. The regret is in not leaving sooner. Every year I stayed was a year I stole from myself, and I will never get those years back. If you are reading this and you are quietly dying inside a marriage that looks fine from the outside, I need you to hear this clearly. You are not too old. It is not too late. You have not invested too much time. That is the lie that keeps you trapped. The life you are hungry for is waiting for you to claim it, but you have to be brave enough to walk toward it. You have to be brave enough to disappoint people, to be misunderstood, to be judged. You have to be brave enough to choose yourself. I spent 45 years being what everyone needed me to be, a good husband, a good father, a good provider, and I was those things, but I forgot to be a whole man. I forgot that my life was mine to live. If this story has touched something in you, let me ask you one thing. What is the one thing you have been afraid to admit, even to yourself? What is the truth you keep pushing down because it feels too dangerous to face? You do not have to share it with anyone else, but you need to stop hiding it from yourself, because that hidden truth is a seed. And if you give it light, it might just grow into the life you were always meant to live. Write it down. Say it out loud when no one is listening. Whisper it to yourself in the mirror. Just stop pretending it is not there. That is where freedom begins. In the moment you stop lying to yourself about what you really need. It is never too late to start living. I am proof of that.